Salutations, fellow nerds. I'm Rick Y, the Wise Guy. Today is December 31st, 2024, and I want to wish everyone a safe and happy new year. That was soda. YouTube algorithm. I'm going to cover what I've actually felt a little upset trying to address because of the very genuine pain that seems to be involved with it. But I feel like it's important to address the interview wherein Franchesca Fantini adopted a spearhead approach when it comes to her concerns and the concerns of us all in regards to the folks over at the Young Turks. So if you dig news, history, and civilized American resistance, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'd be much obliged. Just sit a spell. Take your shoes off. Full disclosure, I was a Bernie diehard all the way. If anyone could radically change things for the better while appealing to the working man and woman of this country, it was him. So in 2015 and 2016, the Young Turks got my attention. I loved Cenk way of not only being able to address the audience as if they were like right there in the room with him, but instead of a fake robotic news anchor pitch and tone and cadence, he also had a huge fire in his belly about what I have presumed were progressive ideals. The folks over at TYT walked the walk and talked the talk as far as was seen by every one of their viewers. From wages to working hours to treating everyone with respect and dignity, there was a truly progressive energy behind the momentum that was completely undeniable. So when Anna Kasparian seemingly began turning to the conservative side of the aisle, I thought that maybe it was an attempt to grow a wider audience. Maybe receive newer perspectives. But then Cenk began to do the same, and I've covered it as much on this channel without purely concentrating on it entirely. But at one point, I was hesitant to really call him out. But when I saw him during the Turning Points USA interview, playing to a crowd that would see him brutally beaten if they had been ordered to by Donald Trump, that's when I really lost all hope for him and TYT in general. But they had affiliates and other branch-off networks with truly progressive media figures like Franchesca Fantini who cared deeply about the cause and the movement. So watching a video she had put on about doubting herself, it kind of flipped a switch in me. It wasn't that TYT built and ran from a movement that they had stood for, but that they were now making the people that they had held so high question themselves and their own values. And that is when my disappointment turned to anger. Selling out entirely is one thing, but when you get people who looked up to you for guidance in a turbulent world to begin doubting themselves and their better judgments, then you are an agent for the very shitty movement that got so many other Americans to do the same. Keep in mind, I went into the TP Catastrophe with an open mind, thinking he was doing it with the intention of maybe pulling some of them to us, but instead he went there to give them more ammunition to use in their dark corners of the world. So, although a long time coming, Franchesca picked up a shield and spear and went into the lion's den with courage, and she should be applauded for it. I hope to see the likes of John Idarola do something similar given his long history with TYT, but somebody had to do it. And admittedly, I expected bluster from Cenk, the way he's always delivered it. But his performance and his behavior showed to me that this was no longer the same man. But I digress. In fact, this interview in particular made me want to start the mini-series on having better conversations with those around us. So to his defense, Cenk started and even tried to maintain a position of trying to reach across the aisle. But some other points that he tried to make didn't really pass the smell test. One of the things that he mentioned was that they haven't let go of their positions. And he kind of spoke for Anna Kasparian on this part because it was plural. And that's weird because she's actually come out to claim the contrary. She even published it on her Substack. But then he began the entire thing by saying something that just rubbed me the wrong way. He brought up the unknown number of people who are intolerant completely of other people's positions. And if we disagree, as he claims, it would be heresy. And when he said this, I felt like he was already beginning to pigeonhole those who criticize him as a group of folks who will never find compromise. So he already started by trying to play a victim card, and that was kind of a red flag to me. And the problem is, this was his presupposition, his thesis, kind of, to back everything up that was to follow. And if that's the position that he's going to take, it's flimsy at best. But then he began to run in defense for some of the presupposed positions that they have already bucked when Trump said they should. He began to say, quote, they're not as robotic as we thought they were, which is fair because nobody ever really claimed that. We've always claimed that they were a cult, not robotic. He brought up how MAGA genuinely hates Mitch McConnell, but then admitted it was at the direct behest of Donald Trump and that they didn't really know why they dislike him. He then said they don't agree with us on social issues, cultural issues, etc. But Cenk, that's kind of the crux of it. The left en masse only wants everyone to be treated equally and fairly with dignity, and to simply just write it off that they don't agree with us on it like it's Coke or Pepsi. It does a severe disservice to the importance of those issues in our society. But then he said they genuinely hate war. And this is when I need to bring up a point. Because as Alexander of Macedonia once so eloquently stated at the fall of the Persian Empire, get the fuck out of here. They don't seem to really give three shits about war in Israel. They don't seem to care much about invading Mexico by force to approach the cartels. They don't seem like the constant response to not getting their way is civil war. So no, they like war. They like wars that go against people they know they can beat. They like violence when it appeases their gods in idealistic pantheons. Don't tell me that the people who have depended on violence and the threats thereof for the past decade are some kind of peace coalition. He followed it up with that if Trump declares war on Panama and they all go along, then I was wrong. While something Trump did mention was invading Panama, how about we use some real examples? Like, what if Netanyahu decides to declare the whole West Bank as Israel and then takes it by force with this full-throated support from Donald Trump, and they all go along with it? You can say I was wrong. You see, that sounds a lot better. But he's not going to stand by something like that because Cenk is trying to manipulate you. He also finished his little thesis by saying that the right isn't the monolith that we thought they were. No shit, Cenk. Welcome to the conversation when Republicans were openly leaving the party years ago. There are folks loyal to a party that is being driven by most certainly a monolithic authoritarian movement, and yes, they're going to go along with it. Keep in mind, this was less than 10 minutes into a 2-hour interview, so buckle up if you're interested in more of my analysis of this legitimate attempt at gaslighting and trying to convince you it's raining while pissing down your back. The worst part about a lot of this is he delivers it with the same grin and smile and charm brought to you by a snake oil salesman. He covers his presuppositions with these bros and y'all and listen here, folks. And he doesn't think that it's going to be picked out. Listen, if you dig the analysis, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Part 2 of this will be coming in hot tomorrow because a lot of what wasn't unpacked needs to be addressed. Because frankly, he mentioned some things that I really never thought I would hear come from his mouth. Just know I appreciate you for hanging in there so you can stay informed, stay engaged, and stay decent. Y'all come back now. You hear? And I almost forgot. Happy New Year.